Last month, my grandfather Franklin passed away. He wasn't just my grandfather, he was my compass, my mentor, my anchor. And when the will was read, I learned he'd left his entire estate, valued at over $3.2 million, to me. The next morning, my mother Denise showed up at my apartment, red-eyed and silent for exactly 4 seconds. Camille, hence, she said, clutching her coffee like a weapon, you know this was a mistake. That company was meant for all of us. I stared at her, heart racing. Grandpa made his decision. She flinched. You think you earned it? What, because you played his little protege? That was always temporary. I'm his daughter. When I refused to transfer anything to her, she stormed out. Since then, all hell has broken loose. Texts, calls, group messages laced with guilt, sarcasm, rage. I even had a voicemail from my stepfather, Terrence, telling me I was shaming the family. Then this morning, I got a text that made my stomach drop. Family meeting, 3 p.m. today, important, don't be late. No context, no signature, no please. I stared at it for a full minute before I showed it to my boyfriend, Marcus. He raised an eyebrow. Do you want to go? He asked. Part of me didn't. A bigger part of me knew I had to, and that's how I found myself at 2:59 p.m. standing on the porch of my childhood home, wondering what kind of trap lay behind that door. It opened before I could knock. My mother stood there, perfectly polished, in a cream suit I knew she couldn't afford, her smile a mask I remembered from years of dinner parties. Camille, she said, her voice sweet and razor sharp. Right on time. I stepped inside. In the living room, I froze. Seated across from the fireplace were not just my sister, Alicia, my brother Noah, and my stepfather, Terrence. There were also two unfamiliar men in expensive charcoal suits, both holding briefcases. My mother extended her arm in theatrical welcome. Meet our legal advisors. I didn't say a word. I didn't have to because deep down, I knew, this was not a family meeting. This was an ambush, and I wasn't leaving without a fight. The silence stretched as I stood there, trying to hide how hard my heart was pounding. My sister Alicia sat with her arms crossed, tapping her perfectly manicured nails against the armrest. Noah looked down at his hands, not meeting my eyes. Terrence offered me a tight nod, one I didn't return. The two suited men stood as if this was a board meeting and not a family ambush. Camille, one of them, began with a professional smile. I'm Mr. Linton. This is Mr. Graves. We're here to help facilitate a solution that works for everyone. I didn't sit. Solution to what? To this unfortunate misunderstanding, my mother said smoothly, as if we were negotiating over a botched brunch reservation and not millions of dollars in legacy. Please, Mr. Linton gestured toward a single wooden chair placed directly across from them, alone. I recognized the tactic, positioning, isolation. Still, I sat, resting my hands in my lap. I'd like to know the purpose of this meeting. Alicia rolled her eyes. Oh, please, Camille, don't act like you don't know why we're here. Denise's smile tightened. Your grandfather's will was unconventional. It was his will, I said firmly, and it was his right. But it wasn't fair, Alicia cut in. We're his family, too. You think you're the only one who mattered to him? I met her gaze. That's not what I think, but clearly he had his reasons. Denise interjected, clasping her hands. Camille, sweetheart, I know you've always been close to Dad, but he wasn't well toward the end. His decisions, he was lucid, I said, cutting her off. He was more lucid than I've ever seen him. Mr. Graves leaned forward. We're not here to contest the past. We're here to offer a way forward, one that preserves family unity. I nearly laughed. Family unity? Is that what this is? Denise continued, undeterred. Camille, handling a company, investment accounts, and properties, it's a lot. Even for someone with your experience. I manage multi-million-dollar portfolios for a living, I said flatly, and Franklin knew that. The smile disappeared from her face. Mr. Linton opened his briefcase and slid a thick folder across the coffee table. This is a proposed restructuring. It divides responsibilities and assets more equitably. I didn't touch it. Review it, he said. It's not about taking everything from you. It's about balancing what's best for the whole family. And what exactly does that mean? Mr. Graves answered. We propose transferring control of the company and real estate assets to your mother. You'd retain a personal trust and investment portfolio. Alicia leaned in. 20%, that's what they think is fair. It's more than generous. I stared at the folder. 20% of what Franklin built. After everything he'd taught me, after everything he'd seen in me. Denise leaned forward, voice gentle now. This doesn't have to be ugly, Camille. Sign the paperwork and we can move on. We'll still be a family. I looked around the room at the people I once trusted, at the ones who now sat with sharp smiles and colder eyes. And in that moment, I knew I wasn't the one threatening this family. I was the only one trying to honor it. I finally reached for the folder. Every eye followed my fingers as I slowly opened it, flipping past the legalese and proposed distributions. The numbers weren't even close to fair. It was a complete power grab. You're asking me to sign away everything Franklin entrusted to me, I said, keeping my voice even, and you've dressed it up like you're doing me a favor. Mr. Graves spoke calmly. We're proposing a collaborative solution. This agreement would prevent any future litigation and ensure the company stays in the family. I looked at him. You mean in my mother's control? Denise's smile strained. It was always meant to be shared, Camille. You know that. No, I replied quietly. I don't. Terrence finally spoke up, his voice low and tired. You don't understand the pressure your mother's under. The house, the taxes, Alicia's business loans. My business is fine, Alicia snapped, but her cheeks flushed. I turned to Noah, my brother, who had remained quiet. What about you, Noah? Do you think this is fair? He shifted uncomfortably, but didn't speak. Denise jumped in. Don't drag him into this. He's still a child in all of this. He's 24, I said, and Franken loved him. If he wanted him included, he would have done so. Mr. Linton cleared his throat. We don't want this to escalate, Camille, but we're prepared to contest the will if necessary. I stared at him. On what grounds? Denise answered for him. He was ill. You were the only one with him in those final weeks. That could look suspicious. The accusation stung, not because it was unexpected, but because it was cruel. I leaned back in the chair, suddenly calm. You're trying to corner me, threaten me, guilt me. It won't work. Alicia snapped. God, Camille, do you ever stop playing the victim? You think being Grandpa's little assistant for a few years means you get to sit on a throne? I worked for everything I have, I replied. You spent your 20s maxing out cards and ghosting your landlords. Camille! Denise's voice rose. We are your family. No, I said softly. You're people who want what Franklin built, but not the responsibility that comes with it. Terrence stepped forward, face darkening. If you walk out of here without signing that paper, don't expect another chance. I looked at him and then to my mother. You're right, I said. There won't be another chance, because this isn't a negotiation. I stood, folder in hand. Denise's voice cracked. You'll regret this. I turned up the door. No, you will. And then I walked out, not looking back, even as Alicia cursed under her breath and Terrence slammed his fist into the wall behind me. The second I stepped outside, I texted one word to my lawyer, waiting in the car. Now Samantha Reed, my attorney, appeared at my side within seconds. She stepped out of her car, professional and poised, her coat trailing behind her like a banner of authority. Her presence alone shifted the atmosphere I watched from the driveway as the front door opened again. Denise appeared, stunned to see Samantha walking toward the porch with a leather binder tucked under her arm. Samantha smiled politely. Good afternoon. I'm Camille's legal counsel. Mr. Linton, still inside, quickly stood and buttoned his blazer. This is a private family matter? Not anymore, Samantha said coolly. Camille received a text under false pretenses and was pressured to sign a contract that would have forfeited her legal inheritance. That's coercion. Denise's eyes widened, but she recovered quickly. We were just trying to come to an agreement. It's her choice. Yes, Samantha replied, and she chose to leave. Which you didn't respect. She turned to me, and did they make threats? I nodded. Implied litigation, character smears, claims of undue influence. Samantha clicked her pen and made a note. That aligns with what we discussed. I'll file the preemptive motion to block any contestation of the will. At that moment, Alicia came storming out, phone in hand. This is ridiculous. You think a lawyer's going to protect you from reality? Everyone knows what you did. No, Alicia, I said quietly. No one knows what you all did. Not yet. I pulled the envelope from my coat pocket, the one Franklin's best friend George had given me. I hadn't shown it inside. I'd waited for this moment. I handed it to Samantha. Franklin's personal letter. I said loud enough for my family to hear. He wrote it months before he passed, explaining everything, why he made his decision, why he trusted me. Samantha skimmed the contents, her expression unreadable. "It's clear," she said, "and it confirms everything we've already suspected." Denise paled. "That doesn't prove anything." Samantha raised a brow. "It proves motive, it proves intent. And if you proceed with a claim, we'll present this along with Franklin's medical records, journal entries, and the recorded voicemail from your husband last month, threatening Camille." Terrence, standing behind the door, muttered, "Jesus." I stepped closer, locking eyes with my mother. "This is over." "Stop before you burn every bridge that's left." She opened her mouth, but no words came. Samantha looked to me. "You ready?" I nodded, turning my back on them for the second time that day. As we walked to the car, Noah emerged from the house, hesitating on the steps. "Camille, wait," he called. I paused. He jogged toward us, eyes darting back to make sure no one followed. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. I didn't know about any of this, not the lawyers, not the plan. I swear. I studied his face, nervous, sincere. "She said you manipulated him," he added, "but that didn't feel right." I exhaled. "You okay?" He shrugged. "Not really." "Do you want to come with us?" I asked. "Or do you need time?" Noah looked at the house, then at me. "I'm done pretending things are normal in there," he said. "I'm with you." And just like that, the tide shifted. That night, Noah crashed on the couch in my apartment, still in the same hoodie he'd worn to the meeting. He barely spoke on the drive over, and I didn't press him. I knew what it felt like to have the ground shift beneath you, to look at the people who raised you and suddenly not recognize them. I made tea. He didn't drink it. Around midnight, he finally broke the silence. "She's never going to forgive me for walking out." I looked over from my seat by the window. "Maybe not, but it doesn't mean you did the wrong thing." He exhaled, rubbing his face. "You know what she said the night after the will was read? That Grandpa was losing his mind, that you took advantage of him, and I believed her." He looked down, ashamed. "I wanted to believe her," he admitted, "because if she was lying, then that meant everything I thought I knew about her was wrong." I walked over and sat beside him. "She's our mom," I said quietly. "We want to see the best, even when we shouldn't." Noah shook his head. "But now that I've seen it, it's like something broke. I keep thinking, what if Grandpa saw this coming? What if that's why he left it all to you?" I said nothing, because I already knew the answer. The next morning, I met Samantha at her office to formalize the legal protections we'd discussed. She handed me a folder with tabs marked in red. "This contains everything we'll submit to probate court, the letter, the journal entries, the voicemail, the safe contents. It's airtight." I nodded, flipping through it. "Do you think they'll still try to contest?" "They might," she said, "but we've made it a high-risk move for them. If they go to court and lose, which they likely will, they'll face heavy legal costs and possible sanctions." She paused. "But even if they don't file, they might still keep testing your boundaries." I looked out the window at the cloudy Seattle skyline. "I'm done being afraid of them," I said, "but I'm not done fighting for what Franklin built." Samantha smiled. "I figured as much." Later that afternoon, while sorting through documents in my grandfather's study, now technically my study, I found something unexpected. Behind a drawer lined with old tax returns and property deeds, there was a narrow envelope tucked into a legal pad. My name was on it. Inside was a check, not a bank check, but a symbolic one, the kind you frame. Pay to the order of Camille Rhodes. Amount one legacy memo. Make it count. Underneath was a short note in Franklin's tidy script. "This company, this estate, none of it matters if it doesn't mean something. Do more than preserve it. Make it grow. And remember, no matter what they say, I chose you. Love always, Grandpa." Tears blurred the page. I didn't know then what I would build. Not fully, but I knew it had to be bigger than this fight, bigger than the hurt. And I knew I wouldn't be doing it alone. From the hallway, Noah called out, "Camille!" "There's someone at the door." I wiped my eyes and stood, the letter pressed against my heart. "Who is it?" He hesitated. "It's Alicia." I paused in the hallway, unsure what to expect. Alicia showing up unannounced wasn't just unusual, it was unheard of. Noah stood by the door, arms folded, uncertainty written all over his face. Should I tell her to leave then? He asked. I hesitated, then shook my head. No, I'll handle it. When I opened the door, Alicia was standing with her arms wrapped tightly around herself, wearing sunglasses even though the sky was overcast. Her confidence had slipped. She pulled the sunglasses off slowly. Her eyes were red. I just want to talk, she said. I stepped aside, motioning for her to come in. Noah lingered in the hall, watching carefully, but I gave him a small nod. It's okay. She entered slowly, glancing around the apartment like she wasn't sure she belonged here. We sat in the living room, across from each other. She fiddled with the zipper of her designer jacket. Mom doesn't know I'm here. That didn't surprise me. And I'm not here to yell, she added quickly, or to push you. I think I messed up. I stayed quiet, waiting. She let out a breath. After the will read-in, I was angry, furious. I thought you'd tricked Grandpa, taken advantage of his trust. But then I saw the way Mom spiraled, the lies, the shopping, the fake tears. She swallowed hard. I realized she wasn't grieving, she was planning, and she had been for a long time. I studied her carefully. What changed? Alicia looked away. 2 nights ago, I overheard her on the phone with some broker in Naples. She was still trying to push through that villa deal, even after the meeting blew up in her face. My eyes narrowed. The one she said she canceled? She never canceled it. She told him she just needed more time. That she had a plan. Alicia rubbed her temple. That's when I knew she didn't care about the legacy or even the family. She just wanted control, and you were in the way. I leaned back in my chair. And what do you want, Alicia? She blinked. I want to fix things. I want to apologize. I don't expect you to trust me, not after everything. But Noah was right. Grandpa chose you for a reason. I didn't answer immediately. Then I asked, are you here because you mean that, or because you think there's still something in this for you? Alicia looked wounded, but she didn't get defensive. I'm here because I don't want to be like her. I already see the same habits in myself, the entitlement, the anger. I'm trying to change. For the first time, I saw not the perfectly polished woman with the curated Instagram and expensive shoes, but my sister, human, flawed, hurt. I'm not asking for a share, she added. I just want a chance to be part of what Grandpa left behind. Even if I have to start from the bottom. That surprised me. You'd work at the company, they asked. She gave a dry laugh. I'm good with people, sales, presentation, maybe that's worth something. Eventually. I nodded slowly. Maybe it is. She looked at me hopefully. So, is there a chance? I didn't answer right away. But in my mind, I was already picturing it. Franklin's portrait hanging in the new office, a team made of his grandchildren, each finding their own path. Maybe this legacy could heal more than it hurt. Maybe, I said at last, but it'll take more than words. She smiled faintly. Fair enough. From the hallway, Noah called, so, does this mean I don't have to make up the guest room yet? We all laughed, a small, strange sound in the middle of a war that might finally be ending. A week later, things began to shift. Not overnight, not dramatically, but quietly, like the first signs of spring after a brutal winter. Noah officially moved in. We turned the guest bedroom into his workspace, and he started shadowing me during business meetings and property evaluations. He asked sharp questions, the kind Franklin would have loved. Alicia kept her distance at first, texting occasionally. Then, one Monday afternoon, she showed up at the company's flagship store in a navy blazer and flats, resume in hand. Can I help out? She asked the floor manager. Even if it's just organizing stock rooms. The manager called me, confused but impressed. I told him to give her a chance. By the end of her first week, she'd boosted walk-in sales by 14%, but the peace didn't last long. 3 weeks after the family meeting, I received a certified letter at my office, an official notification that my mother had filed a preliminary motion to contest the will. I stared at the document, heart thudding. I'd hoped she wouldn't go through with it, but I should have known better. I called Samantha immediately. She filed? Samantha asked. On what grounds? Same as before, I said, scanning the claim. Undue influence, incapacity. Samantha exhaled through her nose. We're ready. Let her file. A few days later, we received word that a hearing had been scheduled for the following month. I dreaded what would come next: interrogations, depositions, testimony about Franklin's mental state. But something unexpected happened. Noah volunteered to testify. So did Alicia. She needs to hear the truth, Alicia said. Not just from you, from all of us. Even George, Franklin's best friend, stepped up, offering to provide a sworn affidavit about Franklin's clarity, his intentions, and the conversations they'd shared. He told me you were the only one with vision, George said over coffee. He saw in you the kind of leadership the others lacked. That wasn't favoritism, Camille. That was trust. I nodded, the weight of those words sitting heavy on my shoulders. Then, just days before the hearing, I received another message. This one wasn't from my mother, it was from her attorney. Denise Rhodes is withdrawing her contestation. No further legal action will be pursued. The words blurred on the screen. I called Samantha. Why would she drop it? I imagine her counsel saw the documentation, Samantha said, and realized she'd lose. Badly. I felt a mix of emotions: relief, sadness, even a touch of pity, because for all her manipulation, my mother had ended up with nothing. That night, I sat alone in Franklin's old study. I hadn't changed much, just added a few plants, some new bookshelves. His portrait still hung above the desk. I took out the leather-bound journal, flipping to the very last entry again. Camille will face challenges, but she is what Denise never developed: strength of character. I pray I've made the right choice. This time, I didn't cry. Instead, I whispered, "You did." Then I closed the book and turned off the light. The house around me no longer a memory of pain, but a foundation for something new. 6 months passed. The legal battles were over. The tension, while still lingering in quiet corners, no longer consumed every day. Something strange had taken its place: peace. Noah was thriving. He'd enrolled in a part-time business program and worked mornings at our headquarters. Every week he came to meetings better prepared, more confident. Alicia had surprised everyone. She didn't just stick around, she excelled. She pitched the idea of launching a smaller, community-focused branch of the business, Rhodes Home, she called it, targeting first-time homeowners and DIYers. Franklin would have loved it. And me? I resigned from my old job in finance. I knew it was time to go all in. I wasn't just running a business anymore, I was building a legacy. We launched a scholarship fund in Franklin's name, supporting students in STEM and entrepreneurship. One recipient, a shy 17-year-old named Layla, wrote that our grant allowed her to buy her first laptop. I cried reading her email. Then, one crisp Saturday morning while setting up for a career fair, I got a text from an unknown number. "Camille, it's your mother. If you're willing, I'd like to talk. No lawyers, no drama, just us." I stared at it for a long time. I didn't answer right away. Instead, I forwarded it to Noah and Alicia. Alicia's reply came first. "That's your call. Just protect your peace." Then, Noah, "I'll support whatever you decide. But if you do meet, take backup." So I agreed to meet her, in public at a quiet waterfront cafe, the same one Franklin used to take me to as a kid. She arrived wearing a beige sweater, no makeup, no jewelry, not a trace of the woman who once draped herself in labels and cold smiles. "I'm not here to ask for anything," she said, wrapping her hands around a mug. "Not money, not property, just a conversation." I nodded, saying nothing. "I've been going to therapy," she continued. "Rachel pushed me. I didn't want to go at first. Then I realized I was angry for all the wrong reasons." She took a slow breath. "I thought Franklin owed me. I thought you betrayed me. But the truth is, I was never going to be the one he trusted, because I never earned it. You did." I felt the tightness in my chest begin to ease, but I didn't let my guard drop. "I'm not asking you to forgive me," she said, "but I'd like a chance, maybe not to fix everything, but to stop breaking things." We sat in silence for a moment, watching the water shimmer in the morning sun. "Camille," she said quietly, "he made the right choice. You've done good with it." And for the first time in years, I believe she meant it. Months later, she came to the opening of our newest branch. She stood in the back, clapped when I finished my speech, and even stayed for cake. We didn't speak that night, but her presence mattered. Noah graduated last month. We offered him a full-time role, and he's already leading our new sustainability initiative. Alicia's Rhodes Home concept, it's now our fastest-growing division. As for me, Marcus proposed on the anniversary of the first store's founding. I said yes. And when I called out, "Guess who's walking me down the aisle?" I swear, for a second, I heard Franklin's chuckle in the wind. Looking back, I realized Franklin didn't just leave me an inheritance. He left me a test to see if I could carry forward his values, to see if I would protect what mattered, to see if I would lead not with power, but with integrity. And in doing so, I discovered something more valuable than money: the courage to stand my ground, the grace to offer second chances, the wisdom to know the difference. So, if you're watching this and facing your own family battles, I want to leave you with the words I now live by, words I once found scribbled in the margin of Franklin's old notebook. The true measure of wealth isn't what you have, but what you do with it. Make it matter. Thank you for listening to my story. If it resonated with you, drop a comment, tell me where you're watching from, and don't forget to subscribe for more. The legacy continues.